Do you ever find yourself scrolling through real estate listings, late at night, and you see a house that's described as charming, only to realize charming just means it hasn't been updated since 1998.
Yeah.
You see that price, $500,000, and you just immediately start doing this agonizing mental math on your salary, wondering if you somehow missed a massive promotion.
Well, that feeling that, that gnawing sense that you are perpetually behind, that is not a sign of personal failure. It is purely the math.
Right.
And that structural math is exactly what this deep dive is all about. We're working from this really powerful viral financial analysis that it stops worrying about who the bank will technically approve for a mortgage.
Yep.
And instead it focuses on who can actually afford it without, turning their life into a financial stress simulator.
Because that's the uncomfortable reality our source material lays out, right? In dozens of U.S. markets, $500,000 is now the baseline.
The baseline.
Mm-hmm.
And that gets you a normal, maybe 1,200 square foot house, probably needing updates, not a luxury villa, just a place to live.
And the immediate, flashing red flag here is the disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
We're asking households with the current median income, what was that, around $84,000?
About that, yeah.
Yeah.
We're asking them to afford a home that costs nearly 6 times their annual income.
Wow.
Historically, that ratio was maybe 3 to 1. So when you realize the average household is being asked to shoulder double the historical burden, it becomes pure, brutal arithmetic.
So our mission today is to break down that arithmetic step by step so that you can make a decision based on reality, not just the massive social pressure to buy.
And hey, if getting clarity on complex, often frustrating topics like this is what you need, make sure you follow or join our community right now. We do these deep dives to uncover the surprising truth behind these issues.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Let's start where most people's homeownership dreams just hit a brick wall.
Yeah.
The down payment. The old rule, the financially responsible one, says you need 20% down.
And on a $500,000 house, that is not a small chunk of change. We're talking about $100,000.
$100,000 in cash.
In cold, hard cash. And let's just pause on that. For most people, that requires a whole different level of, generational wealth or just a super high income.
Oh, absolutely. And this is where we have to contrast that rule with the reality for most Americans.
Yeah, the median savings account in the U.S. has only around $8,000 in it. So the average person isn't just a little short of that 20% mark.
No.
They are a crushing $92,000 short.
Wow. So you might think, okay, I'll just buckle down and save up. But your sources, they ran that math.
They did, and it's deeply discouraging. So if you're making that $84,000 median income and you somehow manage to save 10% of your gross income,
Which is really hard to do.
it requires extreme discipline. You're only banking about $8,400 a year. At that pace, it would take you 12 years just to hit that $100,000 goal.
12 years. And that's assuming the completely delusional idea that housing prices won't rise at all over the next decade.
Which they will. They always do.
So the 12-year plan is out.
Yeah.
That drives people to the only other option, skipping the 20% down payment.
Yeah.
Maybe you scrape together 10%, $50,000.
And you think you've solved the problem, but you haven't. You've just unlocked what the analysis we're using calls the punishment tax.
The punishment tax, that sounds ominous.
It's called PMI, private mortgage insurance.
Private mortgage insurance. It sounds like something that helps you, the homeowner.
It does not. PMI is a fee you pay every single month for the, quote, crime of not being wealthy enough to put 20% down.
So who does it protect?
It protects the bank, not you. It ensures the bank doesn't lose money if you default on the loan.
So you're paying for the bank's protection. What does that cost you every month, on top of everything else?
It really depends on your credit score, but PMI will run you anywhere from, say, $200 to $400 a month. So you're immediately starting from a position of being punished financially.
Just for not having $100,000 sitting around.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's move past that down payment hurdle and get to the true monthly cost. You've got your $50,000 down, so now you have a $450,000 loan.
Right. And with current interest rates hovering, in the 6 to 7% range, the principal and interest, that's the P&I, that payment alone is going to land somewhere between $2,750 and $2,850 a month.
That is a huge number on its own, but that doesn't include anything else required to actually live in the house, does it?
Not at all. That's the trap people fall into. They forget the acronym TIMP.
PIMP, let's define that, because these are the forgotten costs that just wreck a budget.
So it stands for taxes, insurance, maintenance, and that pesky private mortgage insurance we just talked about. Let's add them up. On top of that 2850 P&I.
Okay, start with property taxes.
They vary wildly, but look, for a $500,000 asset, you're looking at $4,000 to $8,000 a year. Conservatively, let's say it adds about $500 a month to your bill.
Can't avoid that one.
Yeah.
Next up, homeowners insurance. Our sources say this cost has just skyrocketed.
It really has, largely thanks to climate change risks, more fires, more floods. So insurers are covering themselves. You used to budget maybe $1,500 a year. Now,
What are we looking at?
you are easily looking at another $250 to $350 a month. Let's call it $300 for insurance.
And then there's maintenance, the one that nobody, especially first-time buyers, ever thinks about until the water heater explodes.
Right, and this is non-negotiable. Financial advisors use the 1% rule. Budget 1% of the home's value per year for maintenance.
So on a $500,000 house, that's $5,000 a year.
Or $417 a month. That's for the leaky roof, the new furnace, all of it.
And finally, we have to add that PMI penalty back in.
Let's be conservative and add another $300 for that private mortgage insurance.
So, okay, let's do the grand total. We had P&I at $2,850,
Add $500 for taxes.
$300 for insurance,
$417 for maintenance.
and $300 for PMI.
The total monthly housing cost is now sitting at a shocking $4,367.
That number just sits there like a brick, $4,367. And that's for a modest starter home.
And that's a conservative estimate. It assumes no HOA fees, nothing major breaks in year one. This is the absolute minimum.
Which brings us to the income reality check. To manage that payment, that $4,400 a month, how much do you actually have to make?
Well, the traditional rule from financial advisors is the 28% rule. You shouldn't spend more than 28% of your gross monthly income on housing.
The safe standard.
Exactly. The one that lets you save and live. If we run the math on that $4,367 payment, it means you need a gross annual income of roughly $187,000 a year.
$187,000. Okay, but banks are approving people who make way less than that, right?
Yeah.
That's what's confusing.
That is the structural flaw. The banks are way more lenient. They'll approve you if your total debt to income, or DTI, is under 43%.
So what's the difference there? What is the bank ignoring that the advisor isn't?
The bank's ignoring your maintenance costs. They're ignoring your retirement savings. They're ignoring the fact that you have to, eat and pay for gas. They just care that the loan fits under that ceiling.
So even under the bank's stretched out rule, what's the minimum income you'd need?
Even with their lenient math, you still need to be making around $150,000 a year, minimum.
And here's the punchline from the data. Only about 10 to 20% of U.S. households even make $150,000 or more.
Which means 80% of American households cannot comfortably afford a $500,000 house under any responsible standard. The median household is priced out of the median starter home.
It's a structural crisis.
And if this kind of structural math is giving you those aha moments about your own financial planning, just a reminder to join our listeners who get this information delivered directly. Make sure you're following along.
So, people are still buying these houses. Who are they? The sources say they're either dual high-income couples, or
they're getting family money, an inheritance, a gift for that massive down payment.
Or, and this is the really worrying part, they're stretching themselves so thin they become house poor.
One job loss away from total collapse.
So to show what that really looks like, let's use the Johnson household from the analysis. 2 working professionals, combined income of $160,000 a year.
Yeah, well above the median, upper middle class. On paper, they should be totally fine.
But let's look at their take-home pay. After taxes, FICA, a little 401k, what actually hits their bank account?
About $9,500 a month.
Okay, now let's subtract that monster housing cost we calculated. $4,367.
That leaves the Johnsons with $5,133 for literally everything else.
And this is where the reality check gets brutal. Let's subtract some standard conservative living expenses.
Okay, they both work. So they need 2 cars, let's say $800 a month in payments.
Then car insurance.
$250 for that. Gas, because these houses aren't in walkable areas. Another $300.
So we're already down $1,350 just for transportation. What's left is about $3,800.
Right. Then you've got student loans that got them those good jobs. $600. Health insurance premiums. 400.
Now we're down to about $2,800. And they still haven't eaten.
Groceries for a family, especially now, $800, easy. And utilities for the house, electric, water, internet, another 450.
Wow. After all of that, just the absolute basics, the Johnsons are left with only $1,533 a month.
And that $1,500 is before clothes, before entertainment, before saving for college, before actual emergency savings.
It's terrifyingly brittle. The shocking ratio is this. This $160,000 household is spending 46% of their take-home pay just on housing.
Nearly half their income. And that brings us to the emotional reality of living on a margin that thin. What does being house poor actually feel like?
It's checking your bank account before buying groceries.
Yeah.
It's saying no to your kid's $35 school field trip because that money might be needed for something else.
It's lying awake at 2 a.m. worrying about new tires or delaying dental work because the deductible's too high. You are living paycheck to paycheck inside an asset that's supposed to mean you're wealthy.
And you're one unexpected expense away from disaster. The AC breaks.
Yeah.
There's a $5,000 problem you have to put on a credit card.
And what's so insidious is who benefits from this. The sellers, the banks, the real estate agents, they all profit when the deal closes.
Yeah.
Nobody is incentivized to tell you that you're financially drowning yourself.
The system is designed to get you into the house, not to make sure you can enjoy living in it. And it just feeds this cultural myth that renting is throwing money away.
We have to challenge that with math. Real wealth is not equity you're too stressed to enjoy. Real wealth is freedom. It's having a budget margin.
The ability to absorb a shock. The ability to change jobs if you hate yours.
Exactly. You can't budget your way out of a crisis where prices have just exploded past wages. You have to change the equation.
So the sources here are very direct with their advice. If your household income is anywhere south of, say, $140,000 and you're looking at a $500,000 house,
You need to stop. You just have to pull back. The numbers do not care about your feelings or your Instagram kitchen dreams.
you have to be realistic. Find the payment number where you can handle the mortgage, save for emergencies, invest for retirement, and still remember what it feels like not to be stressed about money.
For most households, that number is nowhere near 500,000 right now. And you are not failing because you refuse to financially drown yourself for an asset.
You're just doing the math that nobody else in the transaction wants you to do.
So the real question to ask yourself is, will owning that house actually improve your life? Or will it just turn you into a prisoner in your own home, working only to pay for walls you're too stressed to even appreciate?
There's no trophy for buying a house that makes you miserable. Find the price point that buys you peace of mind instead.
And for more deep dives that prioritize math and reality over social pressure, we really encourage you to subscribe and follow along.